Welcome to the March 12th Town Council Public Session.
Good evening. Welcome. We'll call the meeting to order. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Councilmember Baker asked me to let you know that she's out of town on business and will not be present for tonight's meeting. There is one set of minutes on our agenda for approval this week. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for February 26th?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion on the motion?
Madam Mayor, I have an amendment.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I saw it late. In the section, the round table, it's on page 4 of Ms. Tachi's document. It stated that Melissa Jonas was involved, and actually she's the co-chair of the Task Force on Affordable Housing, and I was just a visitor. So I just wanted that cleared up.
So the motion, your amendment is to add that Ms. Jonas is the co-chair. Make sure that's clear.
She's not just.
Is that okay with the motion maker and the seconder?
Fine with me.
Second. Yeah.
Okay, I don't usually do friendly amendments, but this is so simple, I'll just go with it. So that's okay? Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve the minutes with the one change that Ms. Friedrichs mentioned, clarifying that Melissa Jonas is the chair of that task force. Co-chair, sorry, thank you, co-chair. See, that's what happens when I don't write it down, co-chair. Okay, further discussion on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and those opposed? That motion carries. That brings us right to comments from the council and manager. Mr. Town Manager, do you have any comments for us this evening?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
As many of you should be receiving this week in your mailbox, a letter from our Deputy Director of Operations and Public Works, Tammy Chastain, outlining that we will be changing some trash routes later this year and talking about the various steps we're going to take to do outreach to folks. And that's our first true foray into notifying people that things will be changing. And we have a very comprehensive plan to do public outreach in this regard, because it is changing how things have been done for about the past 25 years. So that is always a difficult thing, and we plan to work with the community to make sure that it gets done in an effective way. Also, I just wanted to quickly update on the downtown redevelopment. We are still in conversations with Comstock on the 4th submission of their site plan. We sent their comments back. We're working with them on addressing those comments. Some of them have to do with the fire marshal, and we're working with the fire marshal as well. And we also today had an environmental meeting with Comstock and state environmental officials to talk about the site and the environmental challenges we have over there. And so things are still progressing apace. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. DeCall, I want to start with you.
Sure, Madam Mayor. I don't have much updates, but I just wanted to share one thing that I attended. I do attend every week, right? I attended a conference called Shape of the Region Conference, and the theme was Business Case for Economic Mobility. It was organized by Northern Virginia, Community Foundation of Northern Virginia, and also in partnership with Northern Virginia Regional Commission, Northern Virginia Technology Council, and Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce. It was a great conference because the concept they talked about there, especially creating economic mobility through tech, it was great. There were great speakers like Nisha Patel. I think she's a managing director for Narrative Change and national initiative from Robinhood, and a lot of executives from different IT companies were there, and a lot of lawmakers were also there. They were talking about skills training, tech skills, soft skills development, how we can increase the livelihood of people by engaging them into a higher paying job, which we always talk about here as well. There were people from Amazon Web Services, Altamira. So there is so much going on right now, and I heard that there are 40,000 jobs out there for which we don't even have skilled people in Northern Virginia, especially in tech. Mm-hmm. That's why outsourcing is going on. That's why people are coming from other places. So if we can really focus on STEM education, and if we can focus on tech education, a lot of people can benefit from that. And I already saw, AWS, TELUS, Northern Virginia Technology Council, and NVCC. Together, they are actually doing some, tech talent pipeline. Having some cloud computing associate degree in Northern Virginia Community College. I think our people should definitely take advantage of that. They are doing some associate degree in cloud computing, and they also get to do some apprenticeship program with Amazon. So as soon as they go there, they can even get on-the-job training, and they can also get associate degree with Northern Virginia Community College. So I think that will be a great opportunity for community out there. That's why I just wanted to say it loud here, because people watching us, they can always get benefit from this one. So that's one thing. And there are a lot of other things which, I can definitely send that information to the council, and you can look other information that I got from there. And another thing I wanted to mention here, because I believe this is definitely worth discussing, maybe in future. An email from a resident talking about the vacancy tax. Especially if we can see a lot of vacant retail commercial spaces, and a lot of places, including city of Fairfax, is doing that, commercial vacancy tax. What it does, it incentivizes commercial property owners to aggressively find the tenant rather than, looking for the perfect match, so that, it can always have some renting going on, and it can mobilize the business, the local business, so it can create the revenue generation and also stimulate the local economy. So I think that was, a different idea that's definitely worth discussing. So I would definitely ask council to give good attention to that one. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Delagula.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the folks that missed it, we had our first open public table with council, which was an absolute success from my perspective. And thanks for the staff and everyone for coordinating that. Heard from a lot of different people, new people, on a wide range of topics. So we've got some ideas from folks. Keep them coming. Budget discussions are happening. So definitely wanted to highlight that. Looking forward to the next one. The only feedback I would give is we need to reach a broader, more diverse group of our residents. I'd like to see that, and I'm looking forward to taking that on the road. We also, for the folks, just a quick update, we did, if you didn't get a chance to listen to it, the work session, we discussed the code of conduct. That is certainly coming to fruition. Obviously, the site plan was discussed. I did want to make sure that everyone knew about that is a priority for the council. Along with what Councilman DeCall was talking about, this sort of vacancy tax, enforcing of our ordinances seems to be a way to kind of guide some folks into maybe taking care of the business, the buildings, the look and the feel of a town is not to where everyone thinks it should be. So I think some of those activities might help. Going forward, again, budget. Please send us your ideas. For the folks that are interested, there's a PBAC committee meeting on Thursday at 7 p.m. Please keep us in mind when you send those comments to us. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Friedrichs.
So everybody has already said most of the things I wanted to say. I want to add to the discussion of budgets. Not very many people at the tables that Mr. McKenna and I were at wanted to discuss the budget. A few people asked us to raise the meals tax, but other than that, I didn't really get much input. I did get a lot of input about the physical condition of the town, and of course, on the micro level, we all see things in our homes and in our neighborhoods that, a large staff isn't seeing on a day-to-day basis. So I will be bringing all of those to the town manager. And also pleased to notice that a number of people told me that they had moved here because we have in our vision plan that we're an arts community. So that was pretty cool. I had a chance to speak with Trisha Adams, who's a painter, a very well-known painter, the other day, and she told me that she expects to open her studio in Junction Square by the end of this month or the beginning of next month, which is pretty darn exciting. So, again, I mentioned to the council at the work session that I was listening to WAMU and happened to hear an ad for Next Stop Theater and a little bit of a description. And that evening, I also saw that that PBS was filming at ArtSpace. So I feel like our arts are taking off. They've always been growing, but they're really taking off, and I'm very impressed and proud of them.
Thank you. Mr. McKenna.
Just that even though the survey is closed for the transportation survey that we're doing in regards to what's going to go with Metro and the buses downtown, feel free to give us that input as well. We can certainly pass it on to the county because I think the things that matter to people are transportation, taxes, and those things are important. So just let us know because, again, with everything coming with Metro, we have to make sure this is right size and we make sure everything is appropriate for the town. So if you could do that, we would appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. So, speaking of arts, I went to the opening of the Looming Connections exhibit, Alicia Imes. She's from Maryland. I was wondering, how did you get involved? How did you find out about ArtSpace? Well, her boyfriend had his photo in the portrait competition, or photography. His in the photography competition. So she went there to see it, and then over the last year, they have figured out how to get her in. So it was great to see a huge crowd, people that know, a lot of people that know her. All the artists that come and exhibit at ArtSpace usually bring in people that have no clue what we have in Herndon. So it was nice to see that group there. Oh, and I see someone in the audience, and they had their book there for sale. Maybe she'll tell us about it in just a few minutes, and I got my autographed copy. I won't spoil your thunder. The other thing, I did get my letter from Public Works.
Me too.
Tammy, I saw your name on it. I was so excited. So I posted it online and told people to be looking for their mail, that it was coming in August. So look forward to seeing that, and I'm happy to help out any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to mention something that's going on in our neighboring House district, the 67th, which is represented by Delegate Carrie Delaney. And I thought of Mr. DeCall when I saw this. I didn't know if you'd heard about it yet. She is hosting on Saturday, April 6th, from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m., the first annual Entrepreneur Fair. And the description says, through an interactive series of workshops and discussion with business owners in the region, Delegate Carrie Delaney of the 67th House District is providing our region with space where everyday residents can gain the skills and insights needed to grow or start their businesses. And this inaugural Entrepreneur Fair aims to provide information on the following: creating manageable steps on how to start a new business, building strategic business plans, creating outreach plans and discovering new marketing platforms, funding and banking options for small businesses, and much more. So registration is open. It's on, if you look up Delegate Carrie Delaney on Facebook, there's an event. If you can't find it, shoot me an email and I'll send you a link, and I'll make sure that I definitely get this to you, Mr. DeCall, because I thought this is right up your alley and the kinds of things you're hoping to get going here in the town. So, and also, of course, we are, as several council members mentioned, we are. What?
I forgot that next week.
Oh, on Monday, there is the Douglas Regional Chamber of Commerce Metro Monday. It's happening on Monday, March 18th from 4:30 to 5:30 at the Hyatt Regency Dulles, and our very own Vice Mayor Sheila Olin will be speaking at the event. And as I was saying, This is budget season. We would love to hear from you. Even though it's not on the agenda every week, you are certainly welcome to come during comments from the audience that is about to start at any time and let us know what's on your mind. We look forward to hearing from you. So with that, that does bring us to comments from the audience. This is a time to come forward on any item that's not listed as a public hearing item. You have up to 3 minutes. State your name and address for the record, and when the red light comes on, please wrap up. Who would like to start us off? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, my name is Jo Olmersha.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and just call that.
Right. Good evening, my name's Jo Olmersha. I'm the President and CEO of Arts Herndon. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council and residents of Herndon. The sun is shining and we're looking forward to spring and summer at long last. I'd like to take a minute, well 2 minutes actually, to remind you all of what we've done and what we're doing in art space at the moment. So hang on to your seats.
And your hats.
Okay, it takes time to warm up. Hang on, sorry. Sunshine obviously got to the machine. Okay.
There it is.
Okay, well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, so I think that sums up what we, as a very small organisation, do with very limited resources. As the Mayor said, now is budget season, and obviously, oh gosh.
For some reason, you think this is a game.
Okay. So I just wanted to be able to remind you of what we do. You know, we're excited to have such a vibrant programming, bringing in over 50,000 people a year. I know my 3 minutes is almost up. I'm almost counting. And it brings economic benefits to the town as well, because all those people have to eat, drink, not sleep, perhaps, but they certainly do eat and drink, and in the case of the Literary Festival, sleep. So thank you very much. We're looking forward to this year and to our future, especially, in partnership with the town of Herndon. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to come forward and speak on any item that's not listed as a public hearing item? Who would like to come forward? Yes, ma'am.
Are you speaking? Ann Veda, 631 Oak Street. Regarding grants, I heard there was some, I did not listen to the whole 3-hour work session, please forgive me, but I heard there was some addressing of the subject of grants. I believe in private charity, that we all give of our time, talent, and treasure individually or through clubs or organizations, not through our tax dollars, not through our elected representatives. However, I also feel that if you campaigned on giving money, public money away, you should explain your change of heart to your constituents who voted for you on that basis. Back to my least favorite subject that needs badly to be addressed. In my 6 decades, I've been subject to decades of codes of conduct. Employers, even when I was self-employed, I ran an in-home daycare for 7 years. I was governed by child care codes of conduct, credentials, etc. Every club and organization I've been in has required a code of conduct. Boy Scouts, churches. I'm on my way to a missions trip to a Muslim country. You want to see the code of conduct they gave me? It's as long as both arms. You all, by shirking your responsibility of imposing a code of conduct on yourself, are compromising the standards that your constituents hold themselves to, but you're also compromising your negotiations on all levels. Real estate, planning, development, small businesses, large businesses. You can't tax vacancies until you behave yourselves and are able to attract occupancy. You know, you can't punish people when you're misbehaving. So get your acts together, do it now, and get it over with. And there's other reasons why we have vacancies too. So we have to make ourselves attractive before we can consider punishing those who are avoiding, you know, the deleterious environment we've created for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the record, we do have a code of conduct in place, and we are working to tweak it to make it the best that it can be, and that was our discussion last week. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward and speak? Mr. Nachman.
Arthur Nachman, 866 Vine Street. Madam Mayor, members of council, in response to your request for comments on the budget, I'm coming here tonight to ask you to raise my property taxes. It's not often that you have somebody that comes down here and is willing to do that. I know that you've discussed raising the meals tax. I also know that we have deficits that need to be funded. For one, we don't have a director of public works. We don't pay enough. We don't have the right number of engineers in public works. We don't pay enough. We need to adjust the pay scales. We need to get the right people, not people without experience, people that are high-quality, experienced personnel, and they cost money. It's a very competitive environment out there in the STEM-type disciplines. You can't. We have infrastructure that we've kicked down the road and we haven't funded. We are now moving into a second-rate municipal authority. I haven't lived here as long as I have to live in a second-rate community. I figured out what my increase in taxes are going to be, and I'm okay with it. To tweak the meals tax, presently you do not have a sophisticated, comprehensive, enforceable collection of taxes. When I go in to buy a hamburger, I paid the tax. The restaurateur is just there to collect the tax and reimburse the town for it. And it's not being done, it's not being administered properly. So to come in and tweak something that doesn't work properly is a waste of time. The property tax is dedicated, it's easy, it's done for you by Fairfax County, you don't have to have a separate appraisal division, and it is collectible and it is enforceable. And for some of us, it's deductible. We need more money. I figure a nickel would do it. If you're worried that you're not going to get reelected because you're going to raise a tax rate. Think of how little you make every hour that you work. And believe me, I think it would probably be a blessing that you could stay home and watch TV and enjoy yourself. But the fact of the matter is, you decided for whatever reason to run, and the people here decided that they were going to vote for you. It's time to be statesmen and not homeowner association members. So think about it, and don't be afraid to raise the tax. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward and speak on any item that's not our public hearing item this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. My name is Melissa Jonas. I live at 124 Fortnightly Boulevard. I'm coming here this evening as the co-chair of the Affordable Housing Resource Panel for Fairfax County, and also as the vice chair of the Housing Authority for Fairfax County. I spent the afternoon giving a presentation to Chair Bulova and members of the Finance Committee of the Board of Supervisors, and I'd like to share with you some portions of that this evening because I think they're relevant as you're thinking about the direction forward, financing, and policy. What we just completed was an Affordable Housing Resource Panel that was appointed by the board to look at how to move forward with taking care of housing, which is an integral part of the infrastructure of our county for our citizens. Along with education, public safety, and transportation, it's integral to how citizens can build success. There were 5 pillars that we looked at. I'm going to only talk about 2 of them this evening with you. One of them is the preservation of affordable housing. We did recommend to the board that they reaffirm the commitment to no net loss of existing market affordable units to be achieved through public financing as well as land use policy. We also looked at how the board should prioritize the current funding of a half penny, which is all that is left of the former penny fund, and the penny in terms of preservation. We've done that at Parkwood, Huntington Gardens. Currently, that funding is valued at $12.5 million a year for the county. We also looked at land use, and this is an area where I think that as a town we can look at some of this guidance and think about how it could be used. The board should direct the county staff to develop a package of innovative land use policies to further facilitate the development of affordable housing beyond our stated goal of 5,000 units created over the next 15 years. The board should recommend the implementation of innovative land use policies to spur the development of affordable housing as a top priority of the new deputy county executive. And we talked about a possible implementation through modernization of the housing policy. As part of that regulatory toolbox, we included items such as flexibility and parking regulations. And I commend the work of the Planning Commission and the Council here in making some of those modifications. But there's more work that we can do. We also need to look at decreased processing time in the county. I know that we have done that here in the town, and we need to continue to be focused on that and being efficient. We also need to look at modernization and/or bonding and development fees in the county. Further in the toolbox, we talked about recommendations on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee Land Use Panel and using those and actually implementing them. We talked about the Transfer of Development Rights program and using it to facilitate the preservation and development of new affordable housing. And we also talked about bonus density and height exceptions, including allowable affordable housing units to be discounted from density calculations as appropriate near transit stations or other hubs or gateways. And finally, the toolbox items talked about using tax increment financing to offset infrastructure and other development costs. And finally, we talked about partnerships with houses of worship and how that land could be used to further the goals of housing diversity. I hope we can take this into account. I appreciate you giving me a little more than my allotted time, and thank you for the work I'm able to do here in the town and county.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward and speak on any item that's not a public hearing? Anyone? Yes, sir.
I was just
Here's,
Patrick Hermas, 902 Gunna Court. So I've heard a lot about the code of conduct, and I've looked through your website, and I think there's a perception that there may not be one because if you work on other town and county websites, they post it, and if it is posted, you can't find it. If you do a search for it, so I think I don't know if you have a strong code of conduct or a weak code of conduct, but there's a perception that there's not a code of conduct, which I suggest, maybe could help remedy some of people's concerns. And the other thing is, when I was going through the budget, being a finance person, I looked through, and I noticed we do have shortfalls in some areas. And, we have a lot of vacant restaurants, properties around here, like the tortilla factory's been shut for years. So we're not getting, the meals tax there. But I do agree, because I've seen how the meal tax is calculated. Having people voluntarily say what they made, not checking their state or their federal taxes to compare it. I mean, there's big gaps in how that tax is calculated. So, I agree with Arthur that some of those things probably, that's not the best way unless you have some enforcement mechanism. But I also think something that is, like with Airbnb and some of these things, and I know in my neighborhood I've seen some houses being rented out, and I think it's happening elsewhere. If we want to look at revenue, we should look at some of those things also, not only for tax revenue, but also to dissuade some people from, at times, renting out their houses, because I see some houses that have a lot of cars coming and going and a lot of traffic. And, that's something else that I hope you guys all consider as a potential revenue, or even if it's not a lot of revenue, to help keep Herndon, as a community or a smaller community. Thanks.
Thank you. I know our code of conduct is in our town code, but we could make that more.
Section 2-5.
Okay, section
The
2-5, but we could
administrative
still get that.
Chapter 2, section 2-5.
But the point is well taken that we could make it more
It is,
visible on our
yes.
website. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak on any item that's not a public hearing? No? Okay, thank you very much. That does bring us to our one and only public hearing this evening, which is ordinance 19005 to grant a first franchise amendment to Fiber Light of Virginia LLC. I will open the public hearing. The town has received one bid from Fiber Light of Virginia LLC, which is entered into the record and on file in the town clerk's office. I see our Deputy Director of DPW, Tammy Chastain, is here. Have we received any additional bids?
No, ma'am.
Hearing none, I will close the bidding process and recognize Tammy Chastain to give us the staff report.
All right. Well, good evening. This is the first franchise amendment for Fiberlight. Quick overview. It's a little hard to tell, but the orange is an overbuild, which is essentially building over top of where they currently reside. They currently have 4 conduit along the entire route. For this amendment specifically, they will be going to 10 conduit. There are 2 specific areas I was going to call out, that one on Eldon Street and one on Monroe, where they will not be following their normal path due to a little bit of congestion, so they are going to move a little further north along Eldon Street and cross a little further south on Monroe Street. So that's all I've got.
Okay, do we have any questions from the council for staff? Any questions? Ms. Friedrichs.
Ms. Chastain already asked these questions
I don't think your mic's on.
It was on before. Apparently, I was breathing into it. I mentioned these questions at the work session, so they're not new. But I wanted to ask, how disruptive will this conduit change be?
Oh, well, we'll try to keep it minimal. They are only allowed to do 3,000 feet at a time. Generally, it'll be in the right-of-way, so they might have a lane blocked off, but they shouldn't have the entire road blocked off at all. So,
okay, so
we'll keep it minimal.
So these are roads with 4 lanes that we're blocking up on.
Yeah, most of them are, yes.
Okay, all right, and we'll be digging, right?
Most of it will be directional boring, so you'll see a setup and then another place where it'll be coming up. So
in the road or?
No, in the right of way. So beside the sidewalk, generally.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you. So as I said, this is a public hearing, and I will invite the applicant or applicant's agent to come forward if they are here and would like to come forward. And, okay, so seeing none, would there be questions for the applicant if they were to come forward? Okay, thank you. So I will call on comments from the audience. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to come forward and speak on this item? Nope. Okay. So seeing none, I will close the public hearing, move to council level for discussion and action, and I forgot to remind everyone that this will require a roll call vote. So is there a motion?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I move, excuse me, I move approval of ordinance 19-0-05.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve made by the vice mayor and seconded by Mr. McKenna. Discussion on the motion.
Just thank staff for all the details they gave us at the work session, and also for the letter you sent out from DPW. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? No. All right, seeing none, I will call the question and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor Merkel. Councilmember Delacqua?
Yes.
Councilmember DeCall?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedrichs?
Yes.
Councilmember McKenna?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olin?
Yes.
Mayor Merkel?
Yes, that motion carries unanimously, and that concludes our agenda this evening.
Madam Mayor, seeing no other business, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, and we stand adjourned at 7:37 p.m., I believe.